Good evening, everyone. What am I saying? It's the evening. It's the
No,
afternoon.
it's my
Good
evening.
afternoon, everyone. God, I'm like had a long night last night. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another show of Command Your Confidence. And here with Tina from the Sophisticated Man. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's been a while. Nice to have you back on the show.
I know it's been a couple weeks, but yeah, glad to be back, man.
Cool. Yeah, and today we want to talk to you about like what some of the distractions that guys can have when they're on their journey. And I think when I reached out to you, you had this idea for the topic. So what was it about this topic which you thought should be addressed during this podcast?
hmm Yeah, I mean, I think it's really key because a lot of guys, and I've made various videos about this lately, but I think a lot of men are very mindless a lot of times to the things that maybe cause distraction, cause them to kind of fall off their path, or just kind of lose sight of what they need to be focusing on. And I thought it was important to address some of the things that are distractions that I think affect not only, people like, well, people like me and you, but a lot of people watching, especially I think the common average guy in modern times. These are things that I believe are uh, just really big distractions and can get in the way of your progress.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of distractions. Not women can be a distraction.
Oh yeah.
Engaging and having too much fun can keep you off your path.
hmm
I don't know, even your mindset too can be a distraction too. You had the wrong mindset that could throw you off your path and everything. Where do you think was there any other distractions that maybe social media?
Yeah. No, I mean I agree with all the ones you mentioned so far. I think anything that like provides a certain level of pleasure, like way too much pleasure and comfort is anything can be a distraction like that for men. And
Hmm.
anything that really causes you to be overindulged in certain pleasure or some kind of comfort, all that's a distraction. So anything you name, man, the women, social media, um, money can be a distraction to a degree, you know,
Or alcohol,
alcohol,
drugs.
yeah, drugs, alcohol, like social media consumption, like anything that you're taking in that gives you that like hit of dopamine, you feel really good when the thing's on, and you feel a rush of like that feel good hormone that can be a distraction. So there's the
Hmm.
list can really go on and on. I think there's a lot of them.
No, and that's true. No, I agree. Like, I mean, I think we addressed some of the key ones, but yeah, when we get
Yeah.
that dopamine high and stuff, I think we're so focused on how that makes us feel that we do not focus on we may get distracted when we said we were going to do something and everything. We just put that procrastinate on things. So like, yeah,
hmm
just like having something that gives you like a like just say like women for example, and just like constantly chasing women. So then and that gives a guy like a head rush, especially if he's like having success and everything. He can lose sight of what it is he's working on and himself as well.
hmm Yeah, man. Like anything I think that pulls you away from your current focus, from your goals, from your improvement to your growth and really any aspect, like that could be a big distraction. And sometimes I think guys aren't even fully, like I was saying, aren't fully conscious or aware of the fact that they are a little too wrapped up into certain things, a little too focused on women, a little too focused on playing video games or, being on their phone, and they're just kind of not even fully aware that they're doing it,
Hmm.
which is the biggest thing, I think, like, when you don't know that you are distracted, you're not aware enough to realize, like, "Yo, this thing's getting in my way," it's gonna be hard to be on the other side of that because 'cause you're not even fully, aware of it.
Right. I don't know if this could be a distraction, but what about, someone who's just focused on working all the time? I mean, because I mean, that too, I mean, we all have our goals and stuff we want to accomplish, but that can
Mhm.
become a distraction in itself because, I mean, even though it's good that we're doing that, but we're putting off other things in our life where maybe we're just constantly working and everything. So because of that, we're not going out there, we're not being social.
Mhm.
We're neglecting other areas of our life as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting point as well. I think it also depends on too on what you define as your your priorities. I think it comes back to priorities too when you mention that. Like, what is the most important thing that you're trying to build right now? Is it is it a business? Is it your work? Is it relationships? Is it your social network? Like, you have to have those priorities identified. And I think to your point, um, if you are working too hard in one area, yeah, some other areas might suffer. So you have to understand, and I think it comes back to that self awareness piece. When you know your priorities and you know what is your most important thing, what's your number two, what's your number three, then you can divvy up your time to give each thing some love and some energy. But I think
Hmm.
it starts with knowing what exactly are your priorities.
Right. And we got to take. I think no, and I think I got to do that because I've been so busy. I've been focusing on like website stuff, and so
Hmm.
I think maybe I should take some time because I do got a lot of things. I just don't write it down. And I think it's better.
Yeah.
We got to sit. If we're gonna have some priorities, we got to write it down to help us remind us. You just can't store it up
Hmm.
in your brain all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was literally just saying that on my live stream earlier about like literally writing this stuff down. Because if you're thinking about it all day long, yeah, it's cool. And like you might be able to review it sometimes and reflect on it. But when it's on pen to paper, like literally when you write it down, it just becomes real. And now like
Hmm.
you have the ability to like apply it in real life. You can actually see it physically. It's just a whole different feel when it's actually in on a
Why do
piece
you
of
think that
paper.
is when you write it down instead of just storing it in your head? Like, what is it? What is the power in that? You think?
Yeah.
Is it just because you physically wrote it down? Is that like kind of writing a contract to yourself when you're writing it down, saying, "Well, hey, this has got to be a
Mhm.
priority." That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
in a way. In a way, I think you can definitely it's like a added accountability, I think, to your point. But I was kinda looking at it at the perspective of like, well, if it's just existing in your head, it's not actually real yet. I mean, it might feel real, like you might think it's real, but
Hmm.
until you can actually put that on a piece of paper and like write it down and say, here's my goals, here's my priorities, here's whatever, whatever, then it becomes like it's literally real, like it's in the physical world at that point. So like, I guess
Right.
what I was
No,
saying is it just
no,
becomes
you're
like
right.
a thing.
I understand. Yeah, now I remember hearing that before. Like, is it? Yeah, you have it in your head, but it doesn't become real until it's physical. So having that
Right.
written down on a sheet of paper
Mhm.
it is like, just makes it real. But the important part is though, even though when you write, if you have something down, you got to hold yourself accountable to actually following through with that, and that's
Right.
another like habit that you got to develop too.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's probably the follow-up portion to that whole discussion is like, well, yeah, now that it's written down, now you gotta take action on it, and now you gotta,
Right.
apply it into your life. It's like the saying, right? Knowledge isn't power, but applied knowledge is power. So, like,
Hmm.
you can learn all the stuff you want, but until you actually go to implement it, that's when it really pays off.
Yeah. You know what I? So you know what another thing too. Like when you write it down, it's kind of a reminder too, because like
Yeah,
you
for sure.
even like so say you got to take action on this, but you just kind of
Mhm.
don't at the moment. But the fact that you have it down, it's kind of down there as a reminder and be like,
Yeah.
hey, better take action on this. And eventually, like when you have it written down and you're looking at it, you're gonna get up there and take action on what it is you need to get done.
Mhm. I agree. It's a lot easier to have as a reminder too, because it's like when you have something written down on your calendar, right? And you're walking past it, and you notice, oh, I have a doctor's appointment on the 17th. Like you can literally you can see it. So that's just like a reminder that you have now. Same thing could be applied to your goals. Like if you have something written down, you give yourself a deadline, and it's visible, you can see it. Now it just becomes more of, I guess, urgency in your mind. It's like, whoa, I have this written down. I start taking action on it. It's legit. It's real now, and
Hmm.
it's the same type of effect. When you have that reminder that you can like review now.
Right. No, it's weird because I do have a website design business on the side, and I've always in my contract, I always give the client wants to know like a deadline. So
Hmm.
having that deadline, forces me to actually work to meet that deadline.
Yeah, yeah. Deadlines are huge, man. I just learned recently like the importance of having those like setting your own like personal deadlines, because we sometimes if we give ourselves like 2 months to do something or 3 months to do something, we'll wait till the very last possible moment to do it. And I know I definitely do. So like having to be strict with myself and say, all right, I'm gonna give myself a week or a couple weeks. I mean, depending on the project, of course, but giving myself that sense of like it needs to be done by this point or has to be at this certain level by this day, gives you that sense of urgency. And I think as human beings, we tend to sometimes give ourselves more time than we actually need.
Hmm. Why do you think that is? Is it because we feel that we need more time? Is it like a I would say it's because like we don't think we can get it done at this particular time, so we just extend our time
hmm
frame on something. Do you think that's the reason why, or
Mm, I think you definitely have a good point. I think some of it too comes back to like how when you're in a 9 to 5 or like a job that you don't necessarily love, you have a 8 hour shift, for example, but you're probably not doing 8 full hours of work. Like you might be doing 4 hours of actual work or 3 hours of actual work. And the rest of the time is like you're just avoiding your boss or your manager. You're not really like putting in time. So I think a lot of it even comes from, I think, societal conditioning of you can tie it back to school too. Like when the teacher gives you a project or due date. So this assignment, this essay is due March 21st or something, and you have like 3 weeks to do it. As a student, you're like, nah, whatever, I'll do it the week before, just knock it out in a weekend. And I think we're so used to doing that because sometimes the activity that we're doing, especially from school, it's like it's not always something we like or interested in.
right? No, I never really liked doing school activities unless it
Yeah,
was like a design project.
right. We're not passionate in it.
Yeah,
So I think it comes from that. I think part of it is what you were saying, and then it could even just be like the fact that we're conditioned to once we hear the word deadline, like even that word can be triggering because we're like, oh man, it's like reminds them of school.
right. No, I hear you because you're like, oh crap, it kind of like it gets in your head. You're like, shit, I gotta fucking get this done.
Right.
No, I always like as long as the deadline was always a couple weeks in advance, I like that. I always hated deadlines when they were like the following day or something. It was such a pain in the ass to deal with.
hmm Yeah, those are the worst. Like when it's a subject you don't like and you have a deadline that's like that next week, you're like, oh shit, like I really got to do this now. I remember I had this like Spanish paper. I was in Spanish class in high school, and we had this project to do, and we basically had to write an entire like short story, all in Spanish. And I'm not like a fluent Spanish speaker. Like I learned a lot of words, but like I
Uh
can't really
huh.
speak Spanish that well. But when I was in class, I remember thinking like, holy shit, like this is a long project. Like I don't really like this class, and teacher wasn't the greatest. And I waited till, like, the last weekend to actually even do anything, so all I did was, like, I wrote everything out in English and then just ran it through, Google Translator, put that on a Word document, and handed it in, like, last minute, uh, but that's
How
just
did
kind of
that
an
go?
example.
You get an A in that?
No, it's messed up. I got, like, a C minus. I was like, "What the hell?" Like, it's literally, like, translated words, so I don't know how she saw through that. Maybe there were certain things she didn't. Maybe she just saw the dialect was different. I don't know, but I thought I'd get an
Yeah.
A out of it. I was shocked.
Damn. But sometimes I heard those translator things are not 100% accurate too, so that's
Yeah,
probably
maybe.
why. But at least you got a C minus, better than a
Yeah, I
D or
got
an E.
something.
I would
I got
take
something.
that. No, but I took Spanish in high school. I dropped out of that the first day. I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
So, but when you go in there, yeah, everyone's speaking Spanish. And I expect and learning now, like, the teacher's going to teach the class in Spanish because that's how you're going
Mhm.
to learn.
Right. Yeah, and that's how it is. And I mean, even that class in general, like the only reason that people took it in my school was because it was an elective that you needed to take to even get into college. And that's a whole other conversation too of like that logical next step is just to go to college, to get a job, to have job security, and like it's just part of that societal conditioning. Again, coming back
Mhm.
to that, is like, well, we're only in this class because we technically need it to get into college, but that's a whole other discussion too. Is like, well, is college even really the right step for a lot of people?
Right, exactly. Well, you don't even need a college degree for certain things.
You
I mean,
know,
I
yeah.
went to college. I went through the whole thing, but I realized even after now we're talking about college, but yeah, no, it just make me think because I remember when I got my degree after in college, like I still couldn't find a really decent job until 5 years after I graduated, and it took a lot of like
Hmm.
hard work. And I thought the degree would get me somewhere, but it really is just the experience
Yeah.
that people wanted more than that's a piece of paper. If you didn't have
Hmm.
that, they didn't want you.
Dude, I had the same exact freaking experience. Like when I graduated, I got a bachelor's degree, and when I was applying to the jobs, all the job sites on like Indeed and like online and stuff, you look into it and like they ask for like 5, 6, like 8+ years of experience. I'm like, what? I just got out of college. Like, how do you expect me to get this job? I have no experience. So like,
Right.
yeah, it's just crazy.
No, it's crazy. And I realized, well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, that is another discussion maybe for a later show, I guess. But
Yeah, it's a whole other
you
topic.
don't need a. I mean, like it just depends. But like, I probably could have done what I'd done if I would have learned everything on my own and just started doing stuff. It was
Mhm.
weird because like even though like I never was focusing in on website design and digital marketing, and I actually did have to learn most of that stuff on my own. So I pretty much I learned. I mean, I got some of the concepts that design concepts and stuff from college, but most of the stuff I'm doing right now, I pretty much learned through experience and on my own.
Yeah.
But luckily, my college debt is paid off, so I don't have to worry about that crap anymore.
Mm, that's nice. Yeah, I gotta pay mine off in the next few years, but that's a little looming thing we're taking care of for sure.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the discussion here. We're getting distracted again.
I know, a little tangent.
We are getting distracted off the subject. But yeah, like so yeah, I think like yeah, getting you mentioned we're talking about like distraction can be bad because when you get so excited about something else, we lose focus. This is a perfect example. We were so excited about college, talking about college, we lost. Um,
Mhm,
and it's really good to yeah, like you said, to be aware of all that stuff because like you'll realize that a lot of the reasons why you're not moving forward or like at the pace that you want to is because of all the distractions you have in life. You can be distractions, like you said, with women, distractions with a negative mindset that's holding you back.
mhm,
Distractions of just like letting your fears and keeping you from like taking action in life and
mhm,
you got to learn to like somehow deal with that and so you can move forward with that
mhm.
otherwise like I think yeah we can be constantly distracted too.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of it, as you were saying, all those different points kind of came up for me. I think a big reason to be constantly distracted to tie into that is like it also depends on your environment too. Because if you're constantly around people that just want to party every weekend, or they just want to go out 7 days a week, drink nonstop, like just get into some wild shit. I mean, that's a distraction on its own because you're
Hmm.
you're you're friends with these people. They're probably always asking you to hang out. Like, well, why don't Tino hang out with us anymore? Like he don't want to come out on the weekends, or he don't want to come out during the week like with us. I'm like, well, because it's a distraction. Like I can't if I did that every week and every day, I just wouldn't be where I'm at right now mentally, or just growth wise, or just like experience wise. So it also too depends on who you hang around and what activities they're getting into, because the people in your life can definitely distract you too.
Hmm. Right. No, I hear you on that. I don't know, do you think too that sometimes we're faced with certain challenges, like you think life presents challenges with that to see if we are dedicated, that that we don't challenges that may be distractions to test to see if we're dedicated to our purpose or whatever it is we're
Mm,
working on.
mm. Yeah, I love that you bring that up because I agree like wholeheartedly. I agree with that because I think anytime that, and I can even speak from my experience, anytime that I go to do something or commit to something, or even with these daily uploads, I was telling you backstage, like I was doing daily uploads
Mhm.
on YouTube and on Instagram, TikTok. Even with that, like I set a commitment, and then like the next week something came up and like like a challenge showed up. I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. But then like I still found a way around it because I just was so committed to it. Like one day, I think it was last Saturday or last Sunday, it might have been Saturday. I was so distracted, coming back to the distractions, right? I was so
Mhm.
distracted because I was at a graduation party for my brother's girlfriend. Well, her brother was actually graduating, and we were at this party all day long. And then
Mhm.
we went back to her place. We went to she had like a hot tub, and we went back to her place for some food and a hot tub swimming.
Well, that sounds like a blast.
It was, yeah, it was fun. We just hung out, ate some food, kind of like just drank a few drinks and just got like went home. But we were there pretty late, and it was like 11:45 by the time I got home, and, like,
Mhm.
it hit me when I hit the bed. I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, I didn't make my post today on Instagram or TikTok, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Fuck, I totally forgot about that." And I think the old me would have been like, "Ah, whatever, I'll just do it tomorrow morning, not a big deal." But I was just like, "You know what? Fuck this." Like, I made a commitment that I'm gonna post every single day for at least the first 30 days of the month, like, at least. So, I just made that post last minute. It was like 20 minutes to spare until it was midnight. I was like, "I'm just gonna do this." And granted, I ended up doing it right in time. But yeah, I think every time that you set out to do something, or you have a goal, you have a purpose that you're following, there's going to be challenges that show up probably like right after you start taking action. And I always look at those as a test to be like, okay, how badly do you really want that thing? Because this is going to be the thing that's standing in your way. What are you going to do?
Mhm. No, that's true. I know, and it's weird that you mentioned that because I sometimes forget to do stuff too, like
Hmm.
relationship, and like I either do it or just put it off for the next day.
Hmm.
I guess like sometimes like I mean, you are gonna get distracted in certain things. Like life isn't like 100% perfect all the time, and yeah, life throws distractions your way.
Right.
And it does kind of throw you off your path for a bit. I think we've all been there. Even like in this area, especially guys trying to get good with talking to women, like, you have those moments where just life throws you off and stuff, and you get distracted by that, and shit
Hmm.
just comes up. But no, eventually you gotta be aware of that and take the proper action to do it and stay dedicated to it. Um, because like that just shows that you really want it too. I mean, I think it's okay sometimes. Sometimes I think you just need to take a break and reflect on things, like
Hmm.
when, challenges face you, but you can't like take a break for too long.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you're at too. Like if you're just starting, for example, like you just for like 1 month you started doing something, and I think that might be a little too premature to take a break. I mean, that's just my opinion. Like
Mhm.
I if I'm doing something for, let's say, 8 months straight and I didn't take one break, something comes up, then yeah, maybe I'll give myself a little bit of downtime or reflection or whatever it is.
Well,
And
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
yeah,
like
depends on the
you know,
time.
you know, I mean, sometimes, like, I mean, if you're working on something for a while and like maybe you're still having a hard time moving forward with something, or and life does present distractions towards you that can kind of throw you off that. Like, so
Mhm.
yeah, okay, yeah, it's good. Take a break for a little bit, but then just reflect. Deal with whatever it is you got to do. Then just learn to
Yeah.
get up and push forward. Because I think
Mhm.
like sometimes though, like it's after if you're putting in a lot of work on something like with this channel, like I have to take a break sometimes too because I get burnt out. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
Mhm. No, I mean, I feel you on that, man. It's definitely a lot of work, and there's times where I don't necessarily feel like filming, or I don't feel like editing, or I don't feel like doing something. I definitely get those, and I think none of us are, you know, I don't think we're, what's the word? Like we can avoid.
100% perfect
Yeah,
or
yeah. Like I don't think we can avoid that. So I don't know. I think what works for me is trying to do that reflection, even in like even putting it in my routine, I think is key. Like sometimes I'll literally like schedule time out just to take time off. Like I know that sounds weird, but I'll like so my Sundays, for example, I like have a period of time where I'm just dedicated to reviewing the week and seeing how I did and reflecting on my goals and just like decompressing. Like it's not
Mhm.
like work, 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 work like all day every day, but I like consciously try to put um you can call them rest days, but just reflection days into my schedule already. So it's like I planned it out. Um,
Right.
so it does help.
Right. No, that's cool. Yeah, it's always good to have those type of days too, just to kind of see
Hmm.
what you did good at and what you did bad at, and then see what you can do to like, moving forward.
Hmm.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, it's just, it's helped me for sure. And like I think it comes back to what we were saying earlier, just like having it written down and like seeing your progress, seeing the things that you want to be better at, seeing the things that you didn't do well. It just gives you like a landmark now to like you can jump off from that point and take the next step. So it does help just having it in front of you.
Mhm. Right. No, that's true. Now, what do you think, besides, reflecting on things, what are some other ways to kind of deal with some of the distractions that life throws at us?
Hmm. Um, besides that, I'd say, hmm. Well, I would say there's certain things I think that you should completely avoid, and then there's maybe some things that you could probably sprinkle in like every once in a while. Like for me, I know a distraction can be just like binge eating. Like I love like salty foods, man. Like I'll kill a
Mhm.
whole bag of chips if it's in front of me. It's like
Oh, yeah, you know what?
I need
I've been
that
buying those
nicotine.
kettle chips lately,
Yeah, man.
the barbecue ones. I take one handful of those, and then I gotta take another, so I know how that can
Yeah.
be, man.
Swear. And, like, stuff like that, like, I'll allow myself time to indulge a little bit. Like, I'll maybe put it in a little bowl, like a little handful and just say, "That's all I'm gonna get today." Or maybe, like,
Mhm,
I'll sprinkle that in throughout the month. Um, so I think having boundaries around certain distractions, like, pornography, for example, like, that should be, like, code red, like, you're not doing that, like, at all, because that's, like
mhm,
there's really not a lot of benefit that comes from that, but with snacking, like, limit to it, maybe that's, like, a little step above the pornography. You don't do it as much, but there's still points where you allow, like, "Okay, I'll take a handful of chips or a handful of pretzels right now." But I think also it comes back to knowing what are your worst distractions and ones that are, like, not that bad, but they can get in the way if you let them, and, like, having hard boundaries around each one. I think that would help too.
mhm. Yeah, and just actually, again, like, following through with all that too, so
Yeah, yeah,
that's the hardest part, because I mean, we'll get tempted by those things that, distract us.
right.
And it's all about,
Yeah,
like, just being able to control that, and, just even though you want that distraction so bad, you just gotta learn to you have to say to yourself, "No, I said I was gonna do this, so I'm gonna just, like, fucking do it," you know?
mhm. Yeah, and, like, sometimes, I mean, for myself, like, sometimes willpower just isn't enough because, like, um, if you have, like, chips in the house, it's hard to just tell yourself, "Nah, I'm not gonna do it right now," but, like, it's right there, it's hard not to just look in that snack cabinet and grab a bag. So, it's I think setting up systems for yourself is important because if you if you don't have anything in place to maybe, like, get yourself going or, like, to for things to that you can avoid in your life, it's a lot easier to be like, "Oh, well, I don't really care. I don't have anything set up. I'm just gonna indulge right now, or I'll indulge a little bit here." And sometimes we end up doing more than we wanted to.
Mhm.
So I
So a
think even
system
having a system around it.
so a system is like what? Just kind of, developing a plan of action or something next time, like, to avoid being distracted? Is that what you mean by that, or
Yeah, like like a system of like habits, like a system of things that work for you. So for me, like instead of eating snack foods during the week, maybe I'll eat like grapes or like I'll eat some fruit instead. Or, on the weekends, maybe just put it in a little bowl. I don't eat the entire bag. So like having like almost like an emergency action plan of, okay, if this doesn't work for me, here's what I'm gonna do. If this trigger starts getting me going like this, here's what I'm gonna do. So
Mhm.
I think what I mean by system is like just having like, yeah, like you said, like a plan of
A
action or
backup
a
plan or something.
backup plan. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I never heard of that's very good. So, what would be a good example of a backup plan then? Okay, so like,
Mhm.
okay, we'll use we'll like we'll use the thing of like a guy wanting to talk to a woman. So then he just goes for then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he's like nervous and shit. What is his backup
Right.
plan?
Yeah, I mean, in that example, I would say just like if that's nervous for you, just thinking about talking to a girl, I would start with just like, so let's say she's like facing you over here, just start like turning your body facing her. Like just get your body turned in that direction. Like start to act like you're ready to approach her. And then just take baby steps, start walking towards her. Like you don't have to say anything, you don't have to worry about doing anything. Just start walking. And then eventually you come up right next to her, say hi. Like just kind of like take it incrementally into different steps. Uh
Mhm.
or there's plenty of ways you could do this. I'm just like off the top of my head just like naming something.
Oh no, you're good. We're just kind of doing like just wanted to get a detailed type of example, just and not just
Yeah,
just so you can see what guys people who see this what are talking about.
sure. You can even have a friend like hold you accountable too. Like let's say you go out with somebody and you get nervous, you could say anytime you get nervous, tell your friend like, "Hey, I'm feeling something right now." And like in that moment, like he should make you go talk to somebody. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be a girl, guy, bartender, bouncer, don't matter. Like just start talking to somebody. So just having like little like mindset check-ins to kind of keep yourself going, keeping yourself like with that momentum uh
Mhm.
and and keeping your confidence high because when your confidence dips down in that situation, especially with girls, it's gonna affect how you come across and how you approach them too.
Mhm. Right. No, that's very cool. So that's a very good way to kind of deal with that. This have like an accountability. So your friend's kind of
Mhm.
like your accountability partner, and he's kind of pushing you to like take the action or do some sort of step, no matter what it is, just to
Mhm.
build up your momentum. I like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps because like, it also helps too when you have a friend that understands, like, self-improvement, they understand approaching women, like, they understand these things too. Because like, if you went out with somebody who was just as nervous as you or, like, just maybe if they're worse than you, like, they have no clue how to talk to women, like, just their confidence is terrible, probably not the best person to have as, like, an accountability partner because 'cause they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, dude, like, don't worry about it. Let's just drink some more and forget about it." Like he's probably gonna make you even less confident. So it pays to
Mhm.
be with someone who also has a lot of confidence, who also has a good ability to be social and to talk to people. It only
Right.
makes it easier.
No, that's true though. I remember I used to go out with a lot of people who didn't have that confidence, and even though,
Yeah.
I mean, I still had that confidence. This is a long time ago, but I had,
Mhm.
I go out there and talk to people, but I wasn't like as skilled as I am now. But
Mhm.
like I remember when I go with friends like that, it'd just be horrible because
Yeah.
they would kind of bring you down back to their level. I
Literally.
know that's the one thing I hate. Like sometimes when you go out with people and so I could be the most outgoing person, but the other person just doesn't talk, and it kind of just brings me down to their
Yeah.
level too, which sucks.
Mhm.
And that's a
Yeah.
distraction in itself right there, and I hate it.
It is.
But
No,
then
it
I'm the
definitely is.
one responsible for letting that happen.
Mm. Yeah, man, I had a very similar experience too when because I don't really go out that much anymore, but when we did, maybe like last summer, um, we would go out to the same bar all the time, and me and my brother, be a couple other guys we went out with, and me and my brother were always like the most, I guess you could say, the most social guys there. Like we were talking to
Mhm,
everybody, like bartenders knew us, the regulars knew us, like we were always in this place, and the guys that we would go out with, no, like they're decent looking dudes. They're not like fucking hideous, but like they would be decent looking. They dressed pretty nice. The one kid was a barber, so like he had decent style. And
Mhm.
every single time we went out, like girls would, and granted, like me and my brother didn't really do a lot of approaches. Like the girls would basically come to us. But when we started talking to girls, they'd be talking to me, my brother. We'd just like be social and like start, bantering back and forth. And then there'd be
Mhm.
the two guys on the side who wouldn't say anything. And I was like, yo, like we're all talking to each other. Like you can join in at any time. And you're
Mhm.
right. Like it makes it brings the whole vibe of the group down because then the girl's like, what's up with this guy? Like, why is he not talking? And it's just,
Mhm.
it freaks her out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, but well, I think a lot of that too. Probably the reason why they didn't want to talk is because, like, I don't know, they just maybe they didn't want to infringe upon the conversation. Because a lot of guys, I noticed that too. If you're like very outgoing and confident when you're talking to girls, or if you're like the kind of the leader in the group, a lot of guys are afraid to chime in because they don't know what to say. I mean, I used to be like that
Yeah.
too sometimes. And sometimes if
Yeah.
I'm in a situation where, I'm in a group, setting, like, people are talking about stuff out and I have nothing to contribute to the conversation, it makes it difficult. And the only thing I contribute is small talk, but it's better than
Yeah.
saying nothing.
Hmm. No, I know what you're saying too. But like, we even gave this guy like layups. I was like, hey, like, meet my friend right here. This is Evan. Like, we were like introducing him and like we were like trying to get him to talk. And
Oh, okay.
it just wouldn't like he wouldn't budge. And it's not like he's like a quiet guy. Like he talks to us just fine. He's a barber, so he talks to his clients just fine. But when it comes to talking to women, it's like completely closed off. And there'd even be points where we were out and it was like multiple women were in a group and they were talking to us. So like there was like one for each person. And even then, like he would still not be outgoing. And his friend was even worse, like not really like open up, like not talk to them. And it just got like, it grew a weird vibe. Not to like talk shit on these guys, but
Yeah,
it's
I
just like,
know.
you know what I mean? It's just like it brings the whole vibe of the group down if you're the one who's like not being social. And I don't know. It would only bother me because he would be the person who would be like, "Oh, dude, like, let's talk to some girls. Let's talk to girls." But it's like when the girls are talking to us, like, what do you do? Like, you're not even talking to them.
Right. No, I hear you. That's funny.
But yeah, that's a whole mess right there.
Yeah. Did you ever give him a few of your pointers though that we talked about, like, just to kind of get social with women?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to, and like we talked about it a lot, and I was like, bro, like, you just gotta stop like thinking too much about it. Like, it's not that hard. Like, just start talking to women. And he used to always come back and tell me like, yeah, man, like, I used to be so good talking to girls. I used to be great. I used to, and like he would all have all these stories about his past. And I was like thinking like, well, that's probably your issue right there. Like, you don't think that that's who you are anymore. Like, you have a new identity of, well, I'm not that social person, and it just kept them stuck. So you can
Damn,
try to,
that's crazy too. Like how your mindset can. I mean, if he really was
yeah.
like that, and like, was he married or something? I'm not trying to get too personal. Like, what?
No, he's a little bit older than me. I think he's like 29 now, I think. He's like almost 30. But
Mm-hmm.
no, he wasn't married, but he went out like a lot in the past and he would talk to girls, like bring some girls home. Like he'd be very good with women, but then like he started hanging around this other guy who was the kid that I was talking about and he just was very like kind of strange around women, didn't really like know how to talk to them. Got very negative when women didn't like reciprocate his approach. He'd be like, "Oh, fuck this girl," or like, "Oh, these girls are weird, like fuck them," and he'd like get really down on himself. And I think it just kind of rubbed off on him.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's again, it comes back to the point we were saying, like your environment is key. So like you got to
That's a
make sure there's
distraction.
guys
That
in
I
your
mean,
corner.
that's
Yeah,
a good example of a distraction.
exactly.
That guys can have, who want to become good at women. That you
Yeah.
just heard what he said. Like your friend was very good, but then you ended up hanging out with someone else who kind of, gave him a different viewpoint. And now he's like back where he started again.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. I know I have
Yeah.
to remind, but to be honest, too, sometimes when I go through a dry spell or some shit like that, like I get down on myself too, but I have to remind myself of everything that I've done. you
Yeah.
know. But it's no, see that, and that's just another. What I'm saying right now is it's another sample of like example, not sample. I guess it's the same fucking word anyway. So it's just another example of like distractions that can come up. Like, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking. We're not just talking with women. I mean, you could be working on a, working out and stuff, trying to lose weight. You could
Oh
be
yeah.
working on growing a business. You can have the same issues arise, and yet that can
Mhm.
distract you from, keep you from focusing on moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, you could apply this to anything. I mean, a good example that comes to mind is like, let's say you're in the gym and you're focused on getting in good shape and you're trying to get a better physique. If you're with somebody, let's say you went with a partner, you're with someone who doesn't even care or who's like would rather talk than actually work out. It's like that's going to be a big distraction because then they're like telling you, hey, like go look over here, like, look at that hot girl over there doing yoga poses. Like, oh my God, like he's super distracted. But like if you're there to lift weights and train, that's gonna be a big distraction because this person, they're just not on that level.
Mhm. Right. I know strictly when I go to the gym, I just focus on working out. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm social here and there, like, kind
Hmm.
of use it as a good way, I'm still working from home, so, I always go to the gym after work, so
Right.
always good to, 3 days a week, I'll go and I'll do my workout, but right now I'm trying to be more social because, like, just working from home, I'm getting stuck in my head again, like,
Hmm.
I got
Right.
cabin fever, so I think
Yeah.
that's I noticed this, like, a couple of weeks ago, but I think, just the fact that I'm been at home a lot more that, like, kinda see myself kind of dwindling back into some old states of mind and shit, so I'm taking
Hmm.
action on getting out of that, I'm even thinking, "Well, I'm just gonna probably work at a local coffee house one day a week," Anything
Yeah.
to kind of break that, uh, cabin fever spell, 'cause,
Hmm.
I love it, but, like, at the same time, it's just like I'm constantly home, and lately with my when I'm not been doing that, I've been working on since past since this past month, I've been working on some big projects and everything, and that's
Hmm.
kinda caused me to kinda be home a lot, during the afternoon and stuff. I realized that, I gotta kind of get back into those old social habits because, like, I noticed because, like, I remember beforehand, I had the time to actually go out there and go out there and just be social with people. I mean, I still go out in the evening, but, like, during the day, and I used to do this, and now that I haven't been doing it this past, like, month, it's been crazy, but instead of myself, I realized I gotta just go out there and take some sort of action just to get back to the state of mind I was in.
Hmm.
See,
Yeah,
work can be a distraction.
it's tough to literally, I was just about to say that, like, even remote work can be a distraction. Like, if you work from home and, you're comfortable in your living in your space of living, like, it's real easy to get distracted because I have, I have food in my fridge. I can go walk over if I get hungry, or if, like, I have a bed upstairs, I go lay down. Like, I have a PlayStation in the other room. I could just go walk into that and get real distracted. So,
And I got a dog who
yeah,
distracts me.
right. Yeah, could be a big distraction.
But, yeah, you just gotta learn to deal with it. Take action.
Mhm.
But no, but see, these are just more examples of distractions that it's weird. We're just building from girls, but we're saying even you can get distracted from having building work on your path to becoming successful with girls. I mean, it
Yeah.
just kind of moves into different areas of your life. Distractions occur everywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, and really any pursuit you have in life, whether it's trying to be more social, trying to, be more social with women, trying to build a business, trying to build a body, trying to create art, trying to do anything. I mean, there's always going to be distractions. So it's just a matter of like identifying what those are, knowing what your triggers are, and like consciously having things set in place so you don't really set yourself up for failure. Like, it's coming, what you have to do. You have a backup plan. You have a break the glass in case of emergency plan, so you don't fall back into that trap.
Right. Oh, one of the most important things I forgot to talking about distractions. When I always keep my cell phone on silent because
Yeah.
all these notifications from all these apps that can distract you too. Like especially texting, when you're matching with someone online, that could be a distraction, or just
Mhm.
like emails and phone calls from your friends.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole other thing that we didn't even really touch on that much, but your phone is a massive one. Like, I do the same thing that Rob said. I pretty much mute all my notifications so I don't see that stuff popping up all day because that will distract you. Like, and these app developers know that because when you get that thing that pops up on your phone and says so and so liked your photo or so and so shared a message, you're gonna be like, oh my god, I gotta look at it right now. And then
Yeah,
like
I know.
you get stuck in that rabbit hole, and they know that.
Yeah, during the stream, well, even though my phone's on silent, I have my phone like at the end of the desk here, and I see
Mhm.
those notifications light up, and I'm like, I'm curious, but then I
Literally.
have to, I say, fuck that, I'm gonna get back into the conversation here.
Dude, legit. I did the same thing, like, my phone's right here, and my girlfriend just texted me, like, 10 minutes ago, and my phone, like,
Thought I
dinged, and
heard
it
that
it
go
went
off.
off. Yeah, and, like, I checked it, I was like, "Oh, shit, what'd she say?" But then, like, that literally, like, that's a distraction right there.
hmm Heck, we can even do a show about distracting driving, even
For
though that's
real.
nothing to really do with the men's kind of mindset channel. Oh,
I
unless
mean,
you like you
even
see
that.
some hot girls in like bikinis walking why you should not look at hot girls while you're driving.
Literally. Dude, I've been there too. It'd be like a bobblehead in your car, and, yeah, you gotta be careful on the road, man. Can't be distracted there.
Right. No, that's true. But no, but I mean I mean, like I said, there's this distraction. I mean, I think this is a very broad topic because I mean you can
Yeah.
pretty much bring, bring it up with anything, not just with women, but but in life in general,
Mhm.
mindset to technology, to
Oh, yeah.
driving, to
Yep.
eating.
Mhm. Yeah, you can talk about anything with this. I mean, distractions exist in so many different forms, and yeah, you just gotta awareness. I think is the most important thing. Like when you know what these distractions are, when you know what your triggers are, and when you know what your priorities are. I think a combination of all of those, is the key to not falling into the trap of being distracted all day, every day. Like it's okay to every once in a while, like, slip up and relapse, like, it happens to everybody, but, just to get back on that path and to get back on that momentum, it's all that matters, so you gotta be aware of it.
Mhm. Right. Any closing thoughts, before we end the show here?
Um, yeah, I think just kinda to reiterate that point of just, like, just gotta know yourself, you gotta know exactly what, you're trying to do in life, what are the things that are important, what are the things that you feel are a distraction. So get clear with those things, like, make a list, literally write this stuff down. Like, "Hey, like, this is my distraction right now," like, talking, on the phone too much is my distraction, being stuck
Mm.
on, dating apps or social media is my distraction, like, have it in front of you so you can see that, so you can get that feedback every day, and review it. So,
Right.
nope, it takes
And
that awareness.
so when you actually say writing it down, it's your people are going to be more aware of those, like their habits and stuff, because they have thought about it and then they
Yeah.
jot it down and stuff. And then, like I think, too, building from that, they can figure out like, well, how can we avoid this distraction when it comes up?
Mhm.
How are we going to hold ourselves accountable for it? Like you mentioned, have a plan B.
Yeah.
Like if you find yourself getting distracted.
Yeah. And then tell somebody. Like that I'll add that in there too. Like tell people what your distractions are. Like tell them to hold you accountable. Tell them to, "Hey, like this is really fucking distracting for me. Like make sure I don't do this." And ultimately, it's up to you, but just the act of telling somebody just makes it that much more real too.
hmm Right. No, that's true. Yeah, and I think that's very important to do that too, because it's like you got that accountability and everything,
Mhm.
to like hold you, if you tell someone, I mean, they can hold you accountable, or they can probably just, if they don't care about you, they just forget about
Make
it
it
and not
worse.
hold you accountable.
Yeah, they make it
But
worse.
no, I see what you're talking about. That's very important, though, to have,
Mhm.
or work with a coach like us, and we can hold you accountable for that too, and figure out like
Yeah.
where, you tell us that, and then we see if you do it, and if you don't do it, what kept you from doing that, and how can we
Mhm.
hold you, make sure that you actually go out there and do it.
Right. Yeah, coaching and mentoring is is huge. If you really have nobody to turn to, I mean, turn to a coach, turn to me, turn to Rob. I mean, we both do this, so yeah, we're here to help.
Well, awesome, buddy. Well, thank you very much for coming on the channel, and tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, if you just want to search up my brand name on YouTube, The Sophisticated Man, you'll find me. Same thing for Instagram and TikTok. Just search the name, I should pop up.
Oh, okay, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and yeah, we'll have to do a show out probably. When are you going to Vegas again? You're going that's 3 weeks from now, right?
Yeah, I think that's the 11th. So that's what is that? One, two, so at least yeah, like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, maybe we can do something on the third of no, the 2nd of July. I think that's a Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to have you back on. Maybe we'll drag someone else in here. We'll have get another person on here to talk about some stuff. But yeah, guys, thanks for
be
coming
sweet.
on. And yeah, for everyone, you be sure to. I know you're probably gonna catch the replay, but if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and check me out at Command Confidence on Instagram, and yeah, go to my website at commandyourconfidence.com. Got the book for sale, coaching services. We'll put everything in the description here for you guys. And be sure to check out Tino's website and go to his channel as well. But until then, guys, take care, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Deuces.
Rock.